The Dawg Pound. We're too short today. April's a digital dealer. We're conducting seminars, and Jennifer's a little under the weather, but we got the important members of the staff on today. The subject, F&I 2023. I just read in Automotive Snooze that F&I, the big public companies, are posting $2,400 average per retail unit. Now, let's backtrack a little bit. I set the world record in 1985 at $2,287 a retail unit. I did that one time. And now today, however many years later, 2,400 a unit is the average for the big public companies. So we're going to talk about F&I today. We have an author in the mix today. Max Zanan has just published a new book, and we're going to talk about that. Starting with the queen of BDC, Bobbie Herron. Hi, kid.
Hi, you. Nice to see everybody today.
Oh, it's good to be seen. Oh, golly. You got Jason with his orange tie. Looks like somebody else in the business there.
Much better. Bigger upgrade. Way more awesome.
Way better? Yeah.
Obviously.
I don't have a criminal background.
But right.
Jason, what title did I give you today?
We're working on it.
The Baron of what?
I don't know.
You're a baron?
Processes or something like that. Anyway, I'm going to refine your title.
The Archduke of Wokeness.
The Archduke.
Oh, I like it. I like
the Duke
it.
Of what?
Of wokeness.
Oh, okay.
Just can't help it. We're just going to start it out like that, aren't we?
I don't think Jason's exactly the Duke of Wokeness.
He does drive an electric vehicle, Jason.
Right.
I got your back.
Yeah.
I got your back, Jason.
There, Jim.
Hey, we're rebels.
Bobby might be the
all
Duchess of
flags are
Wokeness.
there.
Maybe,
I'm proud to be an author of wokeness.
oh, quit it.
You know I am.
And the Russians fabricated Hunter Biden's laptop too. Okay.
Well, we could go there, but we're not gonna.
And
There's enough going on in the world. Who cares about a laptop?
The king of reinsurance, the king of F&I, Max Zanan.
Right.
Mad Russian. Hi, guy.
Hey, Jim. Listen,
You got a new book out. Tell us about your book.
Well,
Fifth
it's
book.
not out yet. It's being edited. It'll be out soon. This is my 5th book, and it is dedicated to F&I. Unlike previous books that were dedicated to general management, which includes F&I, this is strictly F&I. Management, products, different types of reinsurance. And the reason I wrote it is because you wouldn't believe how many car dealers out there do not understand reinsurance. They know the term, but they have no clue what it entails. They have no idea how much money they're paying, how much money they're leaving on the table. And a lot of times they're being robbed blind, by third-party administrators, by general agents that just do incredible things, So hopefully, they'll read the book, and at the very minimum, they will save money by speaking to the people that they do business with and renegotiating their current deals.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
ready-
look
I'm
at you
ready.
doing a service to the industry.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm reading
I will-
an article today for Digital Dealer magazine called "What's Wrong with You," and it's talking
much.
about underperforming dealerships, why they're underperforming, and why they stay that way, and what they could do to change that.
Yeah.
So many dealerships are underperforming because they won't get out of their own way. Now, today,
Right.
Jason, we're talking about F&I.
Yep, let's do it.
$2,400 a unit has gotten to be the norm for the big publics. And quite a few
We're-
other successful dealerships.
Reminds
What
me
do
of
you
that
think?
episode. What reminds me of that scene from Spider-Man. What is it? Is it with great power comes great responsibility?
I've never seen that, but I do know that saying.
Well, look, I mean, I don't know, man. Yeah, I've seen this. I've been working with a few dealerships recently, and I've been auditing, some of their work and trying to find, opportunities, where we could have done better with the customer and stuff like that. And there's a lot of just because we can doesn't mean we should going on out there right now. And when I hear numbers like this, that's where my head kind of goes. It's like, just because we can doesn't mean we should. Yeah.
Like I say, I did one time $2,287 a retail unit, and that rocked the industry. I mean, that was 1985, and that was unheard of, because the average around town was about $600 a retail unit. And I managed to hit a big number, but I didn't do it consistently month after month. I did it once, and that was big news. I mean, today, Max, what's your thoughts?
Listen, Jim, you have to adjust for inflation. You
Yeah.
have to take into consideration inventory shortage that basically allowed dealers to mark up the cars, and therefore finance department could make more money in finance reserve. Forget about selling products.
Oh yeah, well, I did that on $20,000 and less cars. That
Right.
was at a Cadillac dealership.
Right. So right now, I think the new vehicle transaction is about $50,000 on
Right.
average. Right.
So I was probably averaging $15,000 carryback.
Right. So the finance reserve is much greater. Plus, when dealers had the upper hand and they said, hey, I have the car and I'm not giving you the keys unless you sign here, here, and here.
That wasn't the way I did that now, Max.
But that's the way it was, but Jim, that's the way it was done the last 2.5 years.
Bobbie, what's your thoughts?
I mean, I think that we also have to take into account that, like, I come from a high lease penetration market, and I was a finance manager and a finance director for many, many years with Sonic Automotive. And in our market in Michigan, we were 65 plus lease penetration. And I've seen that in our market over the last 2 years, that's dropped significantly with the inventory shortages. And I hate to say it, but it makes a difference when it comes to finance penetration and to the numbers that we're putting up. I mean, you have a more restrictive amount of warranties that can be offered, or service contracts, as we should say, that can be offered. And there's a lot of differences that are happening there. I mean, I will say that just like everybody else that's on our show, I truly believe that any one of us on our show, without trying to pitch you anything, will help you. And I know Max has helped clients of mine in conversations, not to switch them to other things, but to give them the real deal and to really stand up here and say, hey, I'm a straight shooter and this is what it is. So it's interesting to me that I would really like to see what's the cancel rate on the products that have been sold, and what's the reserve penetration that's lost year over year. When we look at that number now, what does that actually look like next year at this time?
Well, it depends on the value that was sold in the beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
100%.
I teach in F&I school, and by the way, I'm back in business. I'm going to do another F&I school here very soon in Atlanta market.
Well, it's neat.
I've already beat Miss Debbie down to.
I was about to say something, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to reserve that for a table talk for later.
Yeah. Miss Debbie has agreed that I can do one in Atlanta. So I'm looking at hotels right now, and I'm surveying dealers. I've got the best F&I school in the known universe. I'm the king of that realm, and anybody that wants to really boost your F&I numbers in an ethical way, be watching this space right here. I'll be advertising.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a graduate, and I can confirm.
I am as well.
Yeah, got 2 graduates in the room, soon to be 3.
Yeah. And I can say, probably much like Max, that I was a graduate long before we were friends. When I came into F&I and Sonic Automotive, it was one of the first management positions that I held. And I was hired very, very young in. They sent me to an etiquette school to learn how to act older than I was, to be able to close things in a different way. I was held to a different account, but I worked for a company that said, you'll run $1,500 a copy in your lease penetration market, regardless of your reasons, and you'll do it or you won't have a job here. And that was a company that said your markup in a warranty is allowed to be this much per warranty, and it must be consistent. Your markup in LoJack is this much, and it must be consistent. And one of the things I see that a lot of people don't learn now that I hope they get through these schools, like, and I know that you teach this, I know that Max talks about it, is I can't tell you the amount of finance managers that I walk into and go, hey, I have a deal in my hand that's 125% plus, plus, plus. I got a 517 on trans, but a 680 on Experian. Who pulls that if you request it? Who can't answer my question? Who can just send it out for a shotgun? And to me, those aren't finance managers. Those are people who are signing paper, and they're salespeople. Finance managers know how to read credit, and they know how to offer a product that will actually be beneficial to a customer, and not just because they believe in it, but because they know that you present 100% of the product 100% of the time on a menu, 100% of the opportunities that you're given to do so.
100% of the product, 100% of the time. You give the customer the right to refuse. And one thing.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be, right?
What is that?
That's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, look, I think you hear these big numbers, and to Max's points and Bobbie's points, there are probably some legitimate reasons that they are, that high. Reserves are bigger right now. I'll tell you, I don't know anybody that's not buying Gap insurance.
I would never buy a car without Gap insurance. I'll tell you that. There's
definitely
no
right now,
way.
would it? You're buying it
No way.
$10,000 over MSRP, sir. You need this.
No way.
Hey, Bobbie, you're getting accolades from the sidelines here.
Look, I'm not known as an F&I trainer.
How much did you pay for that comment?
I don't even know who made it because it doesn't tell me, but I can tell you this. I was a finance manager very successfully for a long time. I was only successful in it because I listened, just like I still do, and I learned in the people I was around. But the reason I don't train on finance and I don't teach on finance is it because I'm not up to date and I can't. It's not what I'm enjoying doing right now, and it's not my specialty. But it is true that these are facts. I'm trying to only spit things that I really understand and know. And that is that finance is an easy way to upsell money, but it's not an easy way to retain it. The cancelables in finance and the amount of chargebacks that you end up with are huge. And I am interested to see what that number looks like going forward for people who did buy Gap or didn't buy Gap, or who bought a service contract for $3,000 over and it's canceled, or who hit up $700 in reserve. Because while we were at an inventory shortage,
Bobbie, I gotta say, I tell a service contract, for instance, jewelry and real estate. You look at furniture, jewelry and furniture are marked up 300%.
3 to 5, yeah.
I'm wearing a $40,000 watch. I'm kind of proud of that. I've got another watch. I got another watch that was $78,000. My Rolex Presidential with all the diamonds on it. I defy you to go online and find the invoice of that watch.
You can't.
Rolex would take away the franchise if they publish that franchise.
They will assassinate you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So think about this. I mean, we got the only industry in the world where all of our vendors and all of our manufacturers publish our raw cost, all of our incentives, all of our secret trunk money. Everything is out there for everybody to see. They beat down your profits. And like I say, furniture and jewelry are marked up 300-400%. But 60 Minutes never went into a jewelry store and exposed them.
Right.
It was always a car dealer.
Right. Every
mattresses?
time.
Mattresses at 800%.
How about real estate commissions? How about that? I'm so sick of hearing people say, I went into the dealership and they held a gun to my head. No, sir, we did not. You didn't do your research. And then when you came in, you made a decision and then you want to blame somebody later. But real estate agents are banking on what they sell houses for. And nobody's out there like, I hate my real estate agent. I'll never buy from them again. Are you kidding me?
I have a soft spot in my heart for finance managers. I don't believe you should be a general manager of a dealership unless you have been a successful finance manager. Jason?
No, I 100% agree. I mean, I think, and I've actually talked to several people that want to go down the path to becoming a GM, and it's one of the first positions I think they need to be in, because they need to understand, from the actual customer experience. It's like this is that pivotal moment that you make it or you break it. Like everything up to this point could be wonderful. and this could be the point that either continues that wonderful experience or just
Right.
destroys that experience. And I think every dealer principal needs to really kind of understand, what people are going through when they're in that spot, and how they can improve that experience. I think it's huge.
Yeah. Isn't it all the positions though? Like I can't tell you how many sales
Yeah.
managers I know who are also finance managers without the title. They submit, they structure the deal, and they finalize things. Is that a detriment to their finance people? Sometimes. Sometimes that's not okay, but we know it's not, but it does happen. You need all those positions before you're a GM. You need to
I
have
have
a sales
a
manager,
problem
a
with
finance
sales
manager, and a
managers
marketing
calling
manager.
the bank. I've got a big problem with sales managers picking up a phone and calling the bank and hammering the bank with no logical reason why the deal should be approved. I mean, no, except we sent you a lot of deals last month. That's their entire argument.
No, we also floor plan with you.
Or we're floor plan with you. I mean,
And sometimes it's because the sales manager shouldn't be, but sometimes it's because like even our commenter over here, and I apologize because I can't see who the commenter is. You're probably in one of our private groups, but some stores enforce that the sales manager do it and or don't train the finance manager on how, and they don't have a choice. More often than not, and I'm not speaking to the person on the side, I want to be real clear about that. More often than not, a sales manager who doesn't know how to negotiate and doesn't have the reputation or the relationship with the bank is sending things in because that's just how they've always done it, which typically lends to a lower per copy rate, a higher rate of reserve, and some bull crap happening. Let's put it out there like that.
I think it comes down to the general management, right? So, for example, when I was a general manager, right, in my store, a finance director sat at the podium.
Mm-hmm. Lateral to the sales manager, right?
That's right.
Mine too.
That's right. And the reason he was at the podium is because sales managers weren't allowed to submit deals, right? So he would submit the deal from the podium and put the customer in the right car at the right time. And if you guys don't do that now, or you haven't done it before, you're not planning to do it in the future, you're going to miserably fail. That's the only formula that works. There's no plan B here.
Yeah. It's interesting because we do say a lot, I wouldn't let somebody be a GM unless, and it's so different than it was before because you need to understand how finance works and how to submit a deal in the structure because you're going to lead a team of people who this conversation is going to come up with, and you're going to need to know how to do that. You're going to need to have been a sales manager so that you understand how to build, recruit, retain, and lead a team of people, which is part of your role. You're going to need to have been a marketing director and or a BDC director. That's not a popular thing for me to say, but it's true, to understand how conversion from lead to true opportunity works and not have your spend wasted. Being a general manager is no longer a popularity contest on the golf course, people. It is truly leading an entire team and building a structure of high performance culture that allows for all departments to be successful. That's the job. That's why I have a job, because that's what I teach people how to do. And to be truthful, I shouldn't be able, are you kidding me? That should not be a consulting position out there if you guys were all recruiting and retaining and hiring the correct way. I'm grateful for it, but it is the truth. And I've sat in all those positions. So I say that with the utmost authority on failure and success and being through it.
Max, what products are being sold in the finance office these days?
So I think the products are the same, but to address Bobbie's point,
now, there's some new products.
There are, for example, catalytic converter edge, right? Because there's
what?
They get stolen a lot.
Catalytic converter edge.
Correct. Believe it or
see
not, there's like an epidemic of catalytic converter theft throughout the country.
There is.
Because there are precious metals in catalytic converters. So it takes like 5 minutes to steal a catalytic converter. So now we have an answer. We have some kind of an etching that pays a benefit to the customer to at least be able to replace this catalytic converter. But the point that Bobbie made before is very important. That it's not the F&I.
No, you're agreeing with Bobbie here.
I am because
it's hard not to sometimes.
It's
Just
not
ask
the
me on my
F&I product. It's the markup, right? So if you take a vehicle service contract and you sell it for $7,000, I guarantee you it'll be canceled.
Mm-hmm.
But if you sell it for $2,500, $3,000, it'll probably stick. Same goes.
The most I've ever seen a service contract sold for was $32,000.
Right, but it had to be.
What was that covering? That's insane.
Was it a Ferrari?
Was it an EV?
No,
That's
it wasn't.
waiting for you to say. Was it an EV?
It was
cover a
actually,
battery?
it was actually in Texas. It was a dealer that I was consulting, and I was a little, I didn't teach this, but it was an H1 Hummer. And General Motors was financing through GMAC, and GMAC had a policy that you could mark up a service contract 3 times its cost. So
that finance manager had a strong relationship with their bank rep. I'll tell you that right now.
Was over $10,000. And
It sounds like GMAC is out of business for a reason, right?
Yeah. Well, anyway, they financed it, and it was the biggest F&I deal I'd ever seen. It was the biggest chargeback I'd ever seen.
Right. So that's exactly my point. Same goes for tired wheel, for gap, for key replacement, for paint and fabric. If you control the markup as the dealer principal or the general manager, and this needs to be in writing, right? You can either say, hey, you're allowed to mark up the product $500, $1,000, or 50%, or whatever it is.
I teach that, Max. Did you learn that from me?
Yes.
Yes, you did. As a matter of fact, I teach that in the school. You've got to have a stated price, a one price on all your finance products.
You're just asking for a lawsuit if you don't have that too.
No.
You just really are.
Up a set amount or a set percentage.
But Bobbie, it's not even a lawsuit. You're asking for a cancellation because a lazy finance manager would rather pitch one product, mark it up all the way, and then it's going to get canceled.
Look at Florida.
Florida.
Florida calls a service contract an insurance product. And the dealer registers it with the state, and they must sell it for the same price to every customer. They can't mark it up. They can't discount it. And they sell the hell out of them because the consumer knows they got a fair price. Nobody was given another price. There's what are the 3 elements of deceptive trade practices? Discrimination, predatory, or prejudicial. Those are the 3 things that go into a deceptive trade practice.
Well, and just to kind of extend on that.
And that comes under predatory.
Cancellations and lawsuits go hand in hand. Look, your pay plans are typically a part of the problem. Every single time, any department, but since we're focusing on F&I, I'll stay there. Walk into a 20 group or walk into a conversation and go, hey, what's your pay plan? Share it with me. It's not designed to motivate the specific employee. It's not designed to motivate for what you're trying to achieve in the store. And when you put somebody on a pay plan that you say you have to be over $2,000, you have to be over this percentage, you have to be this, you are asking for those types of situations. When chargebacks aren't included in pay plans, when there is not a structure there, and when there is not training, I can't even I'm not even kidding you. I have a lot of operations clients. We talk about me as BDC, but I'm going to say this just so that everybody knows I'm not just pulling this out of my, whatever. I have a lot of operations clients. That's what I actually do. That means that the dealerships I work with, I touch all the departments. And I cannot tell you how many times I walk into a store and the finance person has never had a trainer, has never had a consultant, has attended one seminar.
Never been to a Jim Ziegler school.
Never been to anything, has not in the store. And I have great clients who say to me, Bobbie, who should I have train on? And, it's every single time like, this finance manager has been there for 5 years. They've learned only what they've been taught in this store or from ground up on something else. And it is not fair to them or to the customer. And it's why 5 years from now or 3 years from now, when that customer buys another car, they either won't know how to ask the right questions or they will believe that what they did before wasn't right. We do this to ourselves. And it's a shame.
What's your thoughts?
I think it's even more apparent right now because of the just kind of the economics of what's going on right now. Similar to sales. There hasn't been any training, there hasn't been any coaching. Don't get me wrong. There's some amazing sales, finance managers out there, but it's been easy to be a finance manager. All right, your subvented rate is 6.5%. Your bank rate 7%. Like there ain't a whole hell of a lot of work there. It's been very transactional. I don't actually believe there's a whole lot of selling going on right now. So Jim, I think it's actually a great time for you to do your class because I think the tide is shifting.
I want to bring my F&I school back. I haven't done one since 2017. and I think it's time to do another F&I school. I'm the best.
Well,
F&I
I read a stat recently. You know, the average F&I manager at a dealership right now has 3 years of experience.
Really?
Well, think of what the last 3 years has been.
Yeah.
They
The
got
average
3
interesting.
years
I didn't know that.
experience, and it's been the last 3 years. We just came back to Kansas
Jason,
from Oz.
Jason, you can't believe every stat that you read because this stat is complete BS, right? And I can tell you from just
I'll tell the employment company.
just straight up from anecdotal evidence, every finance manager I work with has at least 10 years of experience.
Oh, I think every dealership has one of those in
Right.
there.
So the average
But the-
cannot be 3 years.
The new people are coming in, man.
Right.
A lot of
I don't
new
think
people in the
are
business.
coming in because finance jobs are very cushy jobs, right? This is not like we're looking for Greenpeace to sell
But
cars.
look, a lot of those guys though that've been in the business for 10 years, were making the $200,000-$300,000 a year. Look, they got penciled over the last couple of years. Max, I don't know. I know a lot of them got out of the business. Now look, I'm
Yeah.
sure there's some that are still in the business, but there's a crap ton that I know left the business. And you can
Left
easily
the business
insert
to what?
someone in their 20s, all right, that can fill out a piece of paperwork and follow a process. And that has
Jason,
been
why did they
okay
leave
for the
the
last few
business? What did they leave the
because they
business?
got
to do?
penciled, Max.
What do you mean
They got penciled? The dealership said, look, this is too easy for you to make
But Jason, where
$350K.
did they go? Where did they go?
Well, look,
Real estate, according to Bobbie.
no, well, probably. Look, I'm going to tell you something real quick. Here's an experience I had. I'll keep it short. Okay. I mentioned to you guys on the show a couple of weeks ago that I was helping my boyfriend's daughter is special needs and she needs a mobility van. Theirs is broken down. So they went and looked at mobility vans, thought they had this great deal. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Let me look at this paperwork. Okay. So, okay, decent deal on the car. We go into the dealership, set up an appointment so that I can talk to this chick about the warranty options. She previously worked for Art Van, comes in and is now a salesperson here, who also handles finance. Not only could she not answer even one question that I had about the warranty, not the price, not the deductible, not what it covered, but when I asked for them to find out what it was, I had to place a deposit on the van to hold it this was a Saturday, for them to get an answer for me on Monday. On Monday, she did not call back with the answer. She called back and released the deposit so she could sell the car to somebody else because she didn't know how to answer the question. And that is what people are working with right now. She knew I worked in automotive.
What
I gave her my
exactly was the
information.
question she didn't answer?
How much is the deductible on this warranty, and does it cover the mobility factors of the vehicle in addition to, because it was a brawn
couldn't
warranty,
answer that
which is for
question.
mobility. Couldn't answer the question, said she had to talk to the GM, and the GM told her, call him and release their deposit. You know why? I called the GM at the other store, hunted his ass down, and made him get on the phone call, and he couldn't answer it either.
But why
And that's
call the GM?
disgusting.
All they have to do is call the company that
Why-
provides the warranty.
But here's what I'm saying. Let's think about this for a minute. So in a division of people, you want to talk about predatory, in its category of special needs where you're paying $20,000 to $50,000 for mobility equipment, they couldn't answer the question because that's how easy it is for them to just lock it on a contract and get it signed. And to people who most of the time either have a lower income or have to in order to be able to sustain the insurance that they have to have on their children, it's gross. And I know it's a VSC, George, but in this case, it certainly felt like a warranty.
George
She didn't even know what to call it.
George is
A service.
one of the foremost F&I trainers in the country.
Agreed. But this chick needed some training, and that's what she wrote
George-
it down
George
as was a
might be-
warranty. That's how
might be-
limited that education was. It was disgusting.
Right. I think
George-
George is missing the
George-
point here. It's
George
not about
might-
warranty
George
or
might-
VSC.
George might be
It's
the-
about
Right, though.
product knowledge.
George might be the second
Yeah.
best F&I trainer I know.
And he's not wrong. I mean, he's not wrong. We can't call it a warranty because that's illegal and that's not what it is. But that's what this chick
No,
called it.
Why,
And
why
that's what they
can't
put on
you call it
paper.
a warranty, Bobbie?
Guys,
Because
at the
it's
end
not a
of the
warranty.
day,
We can't extend a
people-
warranty from the
You cannot
manufacturer.
call it a warranty because, and I
It's
see,
not from the
I go in
manufacturer.
dealerships all the time, they're calling it a warranty. The Magnuson Moss Warranty Act, a federal law, says that a warranty, to be called a warranty, must meet two criteria. It must be provided by the manufacturer, which some of them are. Some service contracts are provided by the manufacturer. But here's the second criteria. They have to be free to every purchaser. And of course,
Yeah, you
of
can
course.
be showing off. You can be showing off in front of each other with your legal knowledge. But when the regular consumer gets into the F&I office, it's an extended warranty. Stop
Yeah.
the BS, right? A
Because
consumer
everybody calls it that.
know what a VSC is. And if you're going to pretend that they do, you got to be delusional.
I call it
No,
a
but we
parts
should
and
be
labor
teaching them
program.
this. We should be teaching them this. We should be
See,
helping consumers
words are
understand
your
it.
toolbox. Bobby, I'm going to get a word in here.
I'm going to let you. I'm going to go ahead and allow that.
Words are your toolbox. The things you say to a customer. I don't call it a vehicle service contract. I don't call it extended warranty. I call it a parts and labor program because it does cover parts and labor. It doesn't just cover service. And guess what? When I'm down in Tampa or St. Petersburg, where we have a lot of senior citizens, I call it an extended service contract. No, I call it a parts and labor program because older people would rather enroll in a program than sign a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Would you
But we're
like to
supposed to stay away
enroll
from
in our
that.
parts and labor program? Yes.
I
Words.
mean, I wasn't sure which
I
St.
mean-
Petersburg you were talking about.
I mean, I'll be the woman on this show that says if you're in finance and you can't sell a service contract for what it's worth, you're weak. That's what I'll say. You are weak, and I'm not sorry for saying it because it's true.
Well,
Bobby, you're never
anyway,
sorry.
It's weak, and it's weak. That's exactly what it is. And it's not real finance. It's not real F&I. It's just not. And it might be your fault, or it might be your store's fault, or it might be somebody else's fault because you don't know, but it's weak. Service contracts are not a hard product to sell because
No,
there's
if
benefit
you
to
can't
them.
sell them, it's a lack of training. That's what it is.
Yeah,
It's
there's a benefit to it, or you don't believe in it and you're not offering it every time, or you're like, this was a new car, they didn't need it. That's not true. It's less expensive in the beginning than it is in the end. And the manufacturer knows exactly how much time they should put a warranty on a vehicle for before things wear out. There's a reason for that.
But also, guys, don't forget the last 2.5 years, the balance of power shifted towards the front end profit. Whereas pre-pandemic, right, you couldn't survive without a profitable finance department.
Right.
So now, the front end was making money, and really, finance department was making the same as before. Now the tide is turning, inventory is coming back, and guess what? All these heroes at the podium are going to be zeros.
Not
right?
all of them.
But 98% of them. They will be begging people to take the car under invoice. It's already happening, right? You can get a Nissan just like that under invoice, like before the pandemic. Certain Mercedes models are going invoice already, right? So now the importance of the finance manager is coming back, right? Unfortunately, the last 2.5 years, dealer principals spent exactly $0 training their finance manager.
that's why I'm getting back in the training business.
That's right.
They spent $0 before that.
Timing is everything.
They spent $0 before that.
No, but before, at least there was a rationale to do it, because without a capable finance department, it was extremely difficult to be in business, right? Because you would lose money selling new cars. Now you're losing money selling new cars, and trust me, you're losing money selling used cars because they're depreciating. And just because they weren't depreciating for the last 365 days a year, now they are, right? So without a finance manager being able to present 100% of the products, 100% of the time to 100% of the customers, you're dead in the water.
Well, Max, now we're not talking about managers. We're talking about a lot of people have gone to the one-touch process where the salespeople are selling finance.
Well, that's what I just experienced, and it was a great time.
I mean, that's
I actually did the same thing.
failure.
It could be a great experience, no profit, but it's a great experience.
Right, exactly. That's the worst experience if you're the owner of a dealership. It's the best experience if you're the buyer.
Well, I think the experience can be a good one for both. If the training and a commitment to coaching is always happening, but it's rare to find.
The propaganda that goes with it is you're going to make less money, but you don't have to pay the managers.
I can tell you what's going to happen. There's people out there having lawsuits, but I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to this place that did that to us. they're going to be the next example I have on a stage if they don't fix it within the next 3 weeks.
Listen, I know of a luxury auto group in the state of New Jersey that does not have an F&I department.
Mm-hmm.
They've been in business, I think, over 40 years. They have probably over 20 rooftops, all high lines. I cannot even imagine the amount of money they leave on the table.
Oh, they're leaving a tremendous amount of money on the table. But
Because when the salesperson sees somebody with a 680 credit score, to them it's 480. Because it's not an automatic approval from Mercedes-Benz Financial. And picking up the phone is above the pay grade. What are they going to tell the analyst? Right? So all these 680 are getting thrown out of the showroom. And they're getting Infinities instead of a Mercedes. They're getting something else where there is a capable finance department. Or they're going to another Mercedes dealership. All it takes is a phone call and say, hey, 680, guys, 680 is not that bad.
No.
Okay. No, but I think we're going to see more and more of that upfront finance conversation now happen. I think there's a lot of really smart dealerships out there that had trained their staff to have those conversations much early on and not waiting for the end. Technology, I mean, everything is leaning towards having the finance conversation way earlier. I mean, I actually helped a handful of dealer groups actually consolidate their F&I departments into a singular virtual F&I department, where instead of having 9 rooftops with $10 million in payroll expenses against those against all those stores, they were able to bring it down to $2.5 million in payroll expenses and still maintain the same results that they were maintaining before. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting time,
Jason,
for the finance department.
No, Jay. Whoa.
whoa,
Where do you want to go?
Oh, you
Virtual.
went from 10 million to 2.5 with the same results. Tell me how.
Oh, menu selling. So instead of having 25 F&I managers, they went down to 6.
But what about the number of turns? People maxed
That's
out.
the thing. We
75,
sold less cars over the last few years, so they've been able to handle the same amount of turns, but doing it virtually.
But we didn't
not
sell
maintaining.
4 times less cars. You went down from 25 to 6.
Yeah, they sold.
The
Well, I
math-
mean, think of the
math
sales that
doesn't
they sold.
work here.
Think of the sales that they sold over the last few years. They did it with a fraction of the staff. They did it with
But they
20%
didn't sell
of the
fraction
original
cars.
staff.
The car sales went down, but they didn't go down by 80%.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, they were able to achieve the same results per vehicle, all right, with 20% less staff.
But
with
20%.
a vehicle shortage.
But hold on, you said they went from 25 finance managers to 6.
Yes.
That's not 20% less staff. That's 80% less staff.
20%. I apologize. 20% of their original staff.
Max is like, Max hates this discussion, so he's going to
I'm gonna
overanalyze all this
Jason, I'm
math.
going to call bullshit, right? Because this makes 0 sense in the real world.
Why? Why does the turnover have to happen inside the dealership? Explain that to me, Max.
Jason, if there are 25 finance managers
Sure.
before the pandemic, and you're going to reduce the staff by 20% because
No,
the
they went
sales
down to
went
20%
by
of the original size.
Right,
So it
because
went
the
down to 20%
sales
of the
went down by
original size.
20%. We should have 20 finance managers, not 6. If
They're
you
at
have
20%
6
of the
managers
original size.
doing the workload of 25 finance managers, they're going to be burned out. They will never see their families, and they will leave.
With 25 finance managers prior to it, they had a bunch of people sitting around twiddling their fingers until a turnover.
That is not true. That is not true because finance managers get paid commission. They're not on a
So
salary.
you know finance managers that are busy a full 8-hour shift all the time.
No, but I'm saying that the finance managers don't cost anything to the dealer principal because they work on commission. If I see a finance manager that gets salary, I want to vomit, right? Because finance managers are not supposed to get salary. It's commission-based business, right?
All right.
So they can look at the ceiling for 8 hours for all I care if I'm the owner, right? They better take 60 to 80 turns each month, right, to make a living. So
I
if you're
believe
telling me
in
that
paying my F9
six
managers.
finance manager did the job of 25 finance managers, two things are happening.
I
right?
definitely do not
Either
want
the
100%
order
of my
group is
commission
completely
finance
clueless, right, and deserves to be bankrupt, or you have no idea
Deserves
what
to
you're
be
talking about.
bankrupt.
You have
Absolutely.
no
Does
idea.
anybody want to know how
what
Max
Right.
feels about this?
How many
have no
F and I
idea.
managers? How many F and I managers out there are 100% commission? Because I don't know that many, so I'm legitimately
100% of
curious.
finance managers that I work with, 100% commission. If I meet a dealer principal that pays a salary
It's new
to
to
the
me.
finance manager, that's criminal. For what? Salary
It's
for
criminal.
what?
There's an
they don't
expectations
open the
of
dealership.
an
They
experience
don't
that I
close the
expect them to
dealership.
maintain.
Come on, Jason, you gotta be kidding me.
Wow.
These
I
people
definitely
you
would.
guys
I
are,
would
this is
never
fun.
employ a F&I manager at 100% commission. There's no way that they're going to be in line
If
with
you want to get a
my
real
experience,
finance
goals, and
manager,
objectives
that's when
are.
you get 100% commission.
Jason, is your
You can
finance
keep those finance managers. You keep
And
those.
folks, this is what a real panel looks like when we disagree on things.
Jason,
That's
is
why
your
we do so
helicopter
well.
double parked?
What was that?
This helicopter's double parked.
Yes. I gotta go.
Oh, anyway, F and I, $2,400 a unit. We're talking about gap. We're talking about service contracts, parts and labor agreements. We're talking about rate profit. Now, rate profit has been one of the biggest problems we've had, but we're limited to 2 and 3 points for most of the banks today. You know, yeah. So who lost audio?
Bobbie.
Bobbie, have you lost audio? Poor Bobbie,
Bobbie?
she's
Bobbie,
not
say something.
she's not hearing us.
Oh, I can hear you guys now.
Okay, very good.
I lost audio.
No
Or
problem.
Jim shut my audio off, which has been
No, I
known to
didn't.
happen.
No, I do shut your audio off from time to time, but not this time. So anyway, we sell what other products are we selling? Window Edge. How's Window Edge doing, Max?
Listen, Window Edge is doing great if it's a preloaded product at really no charge to the customer, or at a very minimum charge to the customer, maybe no more than $199. Once you get into selling $5,000 Window Edge benefit for $3,000 or $2,000, you're guaranteed a chargeback and a lawsuit.
Well, see, that was the thing that first got the regulators to come down on the car dealers. It was Gunderson Chevrolet, Almonte, California, 2001 is when the federal regulators and the Department of Motor Vehicles and Channel 5 News Los Angeles descended on this AutoNation dealership, and they were not only selling Window Edge for $2,000 markup, they were selling it to non-English speaking Mexicans on an English contract. And here comes Channel 5, Joel Grover, the reporter from Channel 5, Los Angeles, because marching into the dealership were like 20 or 30 pissed off Mexicans in the middle of a business day. I mean, could you imagine? I got a whole bunch of non-English speaking, pissed off Mexicans shaking fists at the dealership in the middle of a business day. And Channel 5 News orchestrated all this. So the next thing you know, here comes 20 DMZ agents, and they confiscated 25 filing cabinets. And the F&I manager's name was Don Poteet. He decides to run. He's going to run. So anyway, Don Poteet, they put 5 managers went to jail over that, and it was off to the races. That's when the regulators started really going after the car dealers. Jason?
Well, I think it's good. I like hearing stories like that. I don't know what other new products have I seen being sold. Oh, Max will love this one. Battery protection.
I've seen it too.
I knew Max would love this one. But hey, if I'm going to buy a pre-owned electric vehicle, all right, there are now new companies out there that they will actually send out a series of testers, test the battery.
No, Jason, Jason, I've seen it on the internal combustion engine cars.
Oh, you've seen it on?
Yeah.
No, that's a good one.
Right. That's why I was laughing, It makes perfect sense on the electric car. But
So actually to protect the battery inside. Okay, I like that.
that's right.
That reminds me of what was the one that was really good? The battery replacements for the car remotes. Remember that? They don't do that anymore, do they?
No.
You guys never did that one? Oh my gosh. It would, I don't know where my car keys are, but it protected you losing your keys so you could get a new key fob and battery replacement.
I have seen key fob replacement.
Yes.
Now, key fob replacement, key fobs are costing upwards of $800.
That's right.
I mean, key fob replacement is probably a legitimate product, I would think. I never sold it when I was in finance. We were limited in the number of products we had to sell, but key fob replacement probably is a legitimate product.
Yeah, absolutely. I sell a lot of those key replacement policies, and they make perfect sense, especially when they have additional benefits. For example, if you lose your house keys, they get covered too.
But they have to throw in enough to make it seem like they got some value.
I bought key fob replacement for $299 on the last car that I had, and I lost a $700 key fob. And they covered not only the key fob, but the towing and the fee for it. And I didn't have to claim anything on my insurance. And I've never been happier that I bought that product, and I buy it on every car.
You're a testimonial for the good value of the key fob replacement.
And the programming too.
And
right, they cover the programming, not just the key.
And that programming it. Yeah, absolutely. Bobbie just came back to tell us that.
Yeah. And then and she's gone.
Yeah, Bobbie's got some technical problems today. So anyway, what other products are we talking about in the F&I office?
One that I've seen recently I thought was kind of interesting is high horsepower warranties. There are cars out there that insurance companies just won't touch. Hellcat's a good example of that. Supercharged Mustangs, stuff like that. So I've now seen these like used car.
The Hellcat is 700 horsepower.
Yeah, so these high horsepower warranties. I was like, I didn't know there was. I mean, the engine displacement was always a thing, right, based on it. But now they're performance based vehicle.
What adjustments are service contract providers going to have to make for electric vehicles that have a $25,000 battery replacement? Now, how much is that service contract going to cost? Or is that? I've seen service contracts already for those batteries. What is that going to cost, Max?
So in reality, right, when it comes to electric cars, the only car that's selling is Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Nothing else is selling. So the problem with Tesla is that if you buy a service contract, Tesla is not going to accept it. I hope people know that.
Say that again. And what documentation? What reference do you have on that?
I have real life reference that Tesla does not accept extended service contracts on any cars, right? And that's the end of the story, right? So listen, maybe in the future when other manufacturers will be selling electric cars, it'll be easier. If you buy an electric, I don't know, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, But Tesla is not interested in this business at all, right? So it has to most likely be a reimbursement policy, if anything, you know. And who can afford
Chris
to be
Scott on the
reimbursed?
sidebar. Chris Scott on the sidebar says that most EVs have an 8-year warranty, and most purchasers will not own the car that long because a lot of people are bailing out of EVs after a first year of ownership.
He is absolutely correct, right? And a lot of owners will keep bailing out of EVs once they realize how quickly they depreciate.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
I don't know. What I
I
paid
think
for my
me and my
Rivian,
Wi-Fi goes out. We want to talk about
I make
EVs.
$40,000 on my
Let
Rivian
me-
right now if I want
Let
to.
me elaborate on this point. If you work as a used car manager in a car dealership and you need to take an electrical vehicle on trade, okay? How much money do you put on it? Because you don't know how much battery is left in it. There is no swapping
I
batteries.
mean, that's the
It's like
argument for
the,
every
it's like the
transit,
cell phone. So,
transmission,
for
engine.
example, the oldest car that we have in the United States, an electric car, is Nissan Leaf.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So if
I've
you
sold
take
a
the
ton of those
Nissan-
used, very
Me
successful.
too.
So
I
think
made a lot of
about
money
this.
on those.
You take on trade an 8-year-old Nissan Leaf, right? As a used car manager. You realize there's less than 20% of that battery life
Oh,
left on it.
That's
How
not
much
true at
do you,
all,
how
Max.
close
Like,
to zero do you
I
put
mean-
the appraisal value, right?
I mean, I'm the one who always gets us off track allegedly.
I don't know where that fact
I'm
came
rising for 1 minute. We're not talking about
Max,
financial
I don't know where you
matters.
got
We're
that
talking about
information. I don't know where that came from.
This is very easy, Jim. You can call Brett Sutherland. He has a bunch of Nissan dealerships, and he'll confirm all of that.
Well, Brett's a good friend of mine. I'll do
Right.
that. But okay, now there's an article, there's an interview right now on CBT News with Jim Fitzgerald, where his guest, alleged expert, has said that a lot of manufacturers are considering getting out of selling electric vehicles. Now I gotta watch that show. I haven't watched it yet, but some of the manufacturers are getting out of the EV market, according to this show or the
Correct.
headline on this show.
That's exactly right, because there's no money in it. And please look at the latest comment from Chris Scott. Thank you.
Well, battery
what do you mean?
degradation-
Thank you. It actually proves that
So
you're
it's
wrong.
transmission repair and engine repair and all the other
It
things.
proves me right, because there's no battery
You
replacement.
said the battery was going to be at 20% after 8 years. He's saying that it will retain 80% of its chargeability over 1 million miles.
That's a
Uh-oh.
fantasy.
Forget it.
Max, I don't know where you're getting your stats from. I gotta check this out.
Right.
I think that I'm the one keeping us on topic. This seems like a rare issue here. I don't know where all my ladies are today, but I don't know how this job got put on me. But gentlemen, we're not talking about EVs today.
I had a customer one time that couldn't hear nor speak. We had to communicate via written language, and he looked at me one time and he went, "Bullshit." I don't know, Max.
Okay.
He's Googling.
Listen,
He's Googling.
listen,
He's
this is,
Googling.
guys, this is really simple. I just Googled Nissan Leaf battery life. Nissan Leaf owners should expect it to last around 10 years. So when I say an 8-year-old Nissan Leaf has 20% battery left in it, I am 1,000,000% correct.
Hold on, real quick. I'm going to write a quick article and I'm going to post it and use SEO so that the next search you do, it comes up first. And it's going to say that what Chris Scott said is true. I'm just messing with Max. Max is actually very passionate about this. So most of the things that he is saying are him defending something that he believes in. And that's important for dealers to know. And it's the same for everybody else. But EV is not what we're talking about today, guys. We're talking about finance today.
Yes.
So a good conversation would be these battery warranties that are being sold. That relates to finance, and it relates to EVs, which are not going to stop being sold just because we don't always like them.
Like I have a couple used car dealer friends right now that are selling used Teslas very successfully with battery warranty, being sold in the F&I department, and they've found themselves a nice little niche. It's very profitable for them. It's very easy to sell the warranty to those users.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
the vehicle
Until the
is just a,
goes to the Nissan,
driving
mean,
iPad.
until the customer goes to the dealership and tries to use the warranty.
Well, I don't know about that. All of a sudden, this warranty is better than the ones that. All of a
No,
sudden,
I'm
we're
just
like,
saying,
"Oh,
guys,
why don't you buy a warranty that uses a credit card
all I'm
payout?"
saying
But
is
these
this.
ones are worse.
All I'm saying is this: buy this warranty and go to a Tesla dealership and try to use it. That's all I'm saying.
All I'm saying is, if you're a dealer who sells an EV, I suggest that you look at options for what you can sell in your finance office that will protect your consumer. And I suggest that you work with somebody who debates it so that you know that what you're getting is true. Nobody's going to sell you something that's going to be better than Max because he doesn't believe in it at all. So if he tells you this is the company, you can probably trust that it's true. Right?
Thank you, Bobbie.
Right. And if not, you call Jason. They'll have a debate together, which I think this is cute. I wish April and Jennifer were on today because it's usually all of us. But, I love that we have these kind of conversations because our viewers know that we're not behind the scenes going, oh, let's all agree and give them the real deal. We're real people in real positions like you guys that are giving you real information. And we want to hear your opinion on it too.
Well, you got Jason, the newest member of the Dawg Pound Posse, who is a Canadian granola eater.
I like granola and I really like Canada. So
I was born in Boise, Idaho. Like I'm from a potato farm.
Oh, that's pretty leftist. Boise, Idaho.
Look, I would take Jason.
That's pretty close to Portland,
I think
Oregon,
the EV dealer out there should give Max an EV to drive as a demo for like 3 months because if you can sway him, there will not be a stronger proponent for your product than he will be. So if you're smart, you hook him up with a demo for a couple months and you let him check it out.
There you go.
Well, Boise, Idaho, that's sort of like close to Portland, Oregon. It was on the news today. Portland, Oregon has just passed a law that homeless people can camp in your front yard.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to live in Portland right now.
Not getting into this conversation.
You mean it doesn't make sense?
No, I mean that Portland actually has one of the strongest funding sources for homelessness, and including and not limited to people across the country.
They're very woke.
They need a better policy on how to manage that. Listen,
They're pretty
things in
woke.
our life that we find to be the most inconvenient are the things that need our help the most. That doesn't make me woke. That makes me a human and a good one at that.
The best cure for homelessness is get a home.
Not that easy, unfortunately. Not that easy, unfortunately. Pineapple. Moving on.
Pineapple.
Okay.
That's a double vote.
God.
You guys are crossed out. Moving on.
We started out talking about F&I, and we've gone all over the place.
Well, I think the one thing we all agree on is that F&I training, coaching, and development is an absolute must. You should have never stopped doing it. If you did stop doing it because you were trying to save expenses and you never got back into it, you need 100% get back into it. Look, our staff's dealing with economic questions that customers never had in the last couple decades.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had to deal with interest rates over 6, 7, 8%, 9% in some cases, lease rates and residuals that are just changing on a weekly basis. Training needs to happen to maintain a good customer experience. That's the bottom line. I think we can all agree, right, Max?
Yeah. F&I training is making a comeback. That's for sure.
F&I trainings, and Jim Ziegler's getting back in the F. If you are considering sending one of your managers to an F&I school, I've got the best school in the world. Email me, catch up with me on social media, message me, smoke signals. Get in touch with me and let me know that you have an interest in sending somebody. I'm doing some research right now to see how big my market is. I am the best F&I trainer in the known universe, in case they sell F&I on other planets. So anyway, I have a 75-page textbook. Everybody will receive one. I just rewrote that textbook last year. You can find it on my website. F&I am a believer in F&I. I've been teaching F&I for many, many years, and our F&I managers are sorely undertrained. Bobbie, would you agree with that?
For the love of God, yes, I would. And I'll tell you what, I am a big believer in F&I. It's a position, it's my favorite position to date that I ever worked in. I firmly believe that it's important to the dealership. And I firmly believe that outside of what happens in like a BDC, it is one of the most undertrained, underutilized positions in the dealership, and mostly because it's misunderstood. So I will leave you this. I know we're running out of time, so I'm giving my 2-minute thing. I am looking for a 2019 or newer, under 40,000 mile Braun Ability mobility vehicle. And if you can find me one at under 40 grand or similar, and you can explain the warranty to me, it's a cash deal. And I will stand on every stage and say how amazing you are across this country, because every other place that has hosed us on this is about to become an example of my anger and animosity. So go ahead, spread the word and do the right thing, and let me help you help yourselves.
Jason, what's your closing statement today before I let Max loose?
I think we said it well. The closing statement is that your team needs to be trained. The customers are asking questions that the F&I managers have never had to answer in a couple of decades, and they're not trained on how to do it and handle it. And it's that make or break moment in a customer's buying experience. Mm-hmm. And we just we keep saying that we're in a people business, but I don't see a whole lot of investment in the people. And I'm really getting overly frustrated with that. So
let's get back to the basics.
Okay, Max, close the show out.
Listen, I'm excited because finally F&I is back on the stage. Right? We need to sell F&I products. We need to do reinsurance. We need to do dealer-owned warranty companies, and dealers that are going to ignore it are going to be gone, right? Because there's no money in selling cars, right? The pre-pandemic way of doing business is coming back.
That's all we have to say. Everybody wave goodbye to the audience.